We eliminated the human expansion colonies in the Orion Spur, sir. Captain Vkr'lak stood at attention, mandibles clicking with pride. A swift and decisive victory against their unauthorized encroachment into Confederation space. The High Admiral's compound eyes shifted through various spectrums of alarm before settling on a particularly vivid shade of oh shit purple. Captain, please tell me you at least followed first contact protocols before initiating hostilities. Unnecessary, sir. They're merely primitive bipeds who barely achieved FTL capability. Our analysis showed their technology is at least 3 centuries behind Confederation standards. The colonies were eliminated with minimal effort. Minimal effort. The High Admiral's voice had taken on the kind of calm that usually preceded supernovas. Tell me, Captain, in your thorough analysis of human civilization, did you perhaps notice anything about their historical response to unprovoked attacks on civilian populations? Well, no, sir. We focused primarily on their military capabilities and… Computer, Zextal interrupted. Display Earth Historical File, World War II, Pacific Theater, with particular emphasis on the events following December 7, 1941. The holographic display shifted, showing footage and data from humanity's second global conflict. Captain Vkr'lak's antenna twitched as he absorbed the information. But sir, that was nearly 5 centuries ago. Surely. Computer display current human military deployment patterns following the colony attacks. The display updated again. Vkr'lak's exoskeleton paled considerably. Those can't all be warships, he chittered nervously. Oh, but they are. Zextal leaned forward, his wings now perfectly still. You see, Captain, humans have this fascinating characteristic. Most of the time, they're content to argue amongst themselves, engage in commerce, and generally mind their own business. But when someone attacks their civilians… He gestured at the display. Well, they have a saying, fuck around and find out. Sir, with all due respect, the Confederation military is about to get a practical lesson in human nature, Zextal finished. You know what they call themselves in their combat literature? Dragons. Sleeping dragons. And congratulations, Captain. You just kicked one right in the snout. The display updated again, showing real-time movements of the human fleet. Multiple battle groups were converging on Confederation space, led by vessels that dwarfed anything in their own navy. The designation on the largest read, UNDF Yorktown, Planet Killer Class. Planet Killer? Vkr'lak's mandibles quivered. Oh yes. You see, after the Geneva Conventions were expanded to include extraterrestrial conflict, humans actually created an entirely new class of warships specifically designed to comply with those regulations while still being absolutely terrifying. Zextal's wings fluttered in what might have been appreciation. They're quite clever that way. But how? Their technology is primitive compared to… A new alert flashed across the display. Multiple Confederation border outposts had gone dark simultaneously. Ah, Zextal sighed. And there's the other thing about humans. They're absolutely brilliant at reverse engineering technology. Those colonies you so efficiently destroyed? Mostly research outposts, studying stellar phenomena, xenobiology, that sort of thing. Staffed by their brightest minds. The kind of people who can look at debris from your minimal effort attack and figure out exactly how your weapons work. The display updated again. The human fleet had already breached their outer defense perimeter. Somehow they'd adapted their shields to perfectly counter Confederation weapons. Sir, a communications officer interrupted. We're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. Put it through, Zextal ordered, already knowing what was coming. A human face appeared on the display. The being wore a crisp uniform adorned with insignia that Vkr'lak's translator helpfully identified as indicating Fleet Admiral. Their expression was unnervingly pleasant. Greetings, Confederation leadership. I'm Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Nations Defense Force. I trust you've noticed our approach by now. We'd like to discuss the recent unprovoked attack on our research colonies. The human's smile didn't quite reach their eyes. We're prepared to negotiate terms for your unconditional surrender. Unconditional? Vkr'lak sputtered. But we're the superior force. We have technological advantage, numerical superiority. Had, Admiral Chen corrected pleasantly. Past tense. You see those research colonies? They weren't just studying space phenomena. They were studying you. Every piece of technology you used in the attack just gave us exactly what we needed to even the playing field. Her smile widened slightly. Also, about that numerical superiority. Computer, would you mind showing them the rest of the fleet? The display zoomed out. And out. And out. Vkr'lak's legs gave out. Impressive, isn't it? Chen continued. Amazing what humanity can accomplish when properly motivated. Now, about those surrender terms. High Admiral Zextal raised a wing to silence Krivak's impending protest. Admiral Chen, while I find myself admiring your species' remarkable efficiency, surely we can discuss this reasonably? The attack was unauthorized, after all. Oh, we're being extremely reasonable, Chen replied. For instance, we're giving you the opportunity to surrender before we demonstrate exactly what a Planet Killer-class vessel can do. The name's quite literal, by the way. We could have just opened with that. You wouldn't. Krivak found his voice again. Your own regulations. Article 7, Section 3 of the updated Geneva Conventions, Extraterrestrial Addendum, Chen recited. In response to unprovoked attacks resulting in civilian casualties, proportional retribution may be enacted upon military targets of equivalent strategic value. Would you like to guess what we classified your shipyards as? The display showed another dozen human vessels dropping out of FTL, each easily the size of a small moon. You have 1 hour to decide, Chen continued pleasantly. We suggest using it wisely. Oh, and Captain? Her gaze fixed on Krivak's. Next time you consider attacking civilian targets, remember this moment. Remember what happened when you woke the dragons. The transmission cut. Zextal turned to Krivak, wings vibrating with what might have been resigned amusement. Well, Captain, I hope you've learned something valuable today about the importance of thorough cultural research before military engagement. Sir, we can't just surrender. The Confederation has never— Computer, Zextal interrupted again. Display tactical analysis of current situation, particularly our chances of successful resistance against the human fleet given their demonstrated ability to adapt our own technology against us. The computer displayed a single line of text. Probability of successful resistance, 0.001%. The margin of error, the computer helpfully added, accounts for the possibility of the entire human fleet simultaneously suffering spontaneous existence failure. Zextal's wings fluttered in what was definitely amusement now. You know, Captain, in reviewing human history, I found they have another fascinating saying. Don't start none, won't be none. Perhaps we should have that engraved somewhere prominent after this is all over. Assuming, of course, we survive the next hour. The display updated one final time, showing the human fleet moving into attack positions with precision that would make a quantum computer jealous. Sir? Krivak's voice had taken on a distinctly higher pitch. I believe I'd like to revise my earlier position on the wisdom of immediate surrender. Wonderful epiphany, Captain. Truly revolutionary thinking. Zextal turned to his communications officer. Please inform Admiral Chen that the Confederation accepts their terms for surrender, and that we look forward to a long and peaceful relationship with humanity. From a respectful distance, of course. As the message was sent, Zextal added one final note. And Captain, do make sure this incident is prominently featured in our updated first contact protocols, under the heading, Why We Don't Attack Sleeping Dragons, perhaps? The confirmation of their surrender was met with a single response from the human fleet. Wise choice. We'll begin occupation procedures shortly. Don't worry, we brought coffee. We find it helps make these transitions more civilized. Zextal's wings fluttered one last time. You know, Captain, I have a feeling we're about to learn a great deal about humanity. Starting with why they consider caffeine a perfectly acceptable peace offering. Sir? What's caffeine? Oh, you'll find out soon enough, Captain. You'll find out soon enough. The Confederation's first official peacetime contact with humanity began, appropriately enough, with a cup of coffee and a lengthy lecture on the importance of reading the fine print in xenoanthropological reports, particularly the parts about species-wide trauma responses and historical patterns of technological adaptation in warfare. It would not be the last time humanity had to remind the galaxy why dragons were best left sleeping. But it was, perhaps, the most polite demonstration they ever gave of why fuck around and find out had become one of the most widely translated human phrases in known space. The coffee, as it turned out, was excellent. The lesson, even better. Is it supposed to make my antennae vibrate like this? Krivak stared dubiously at his third cup of coffee, mandibles twitching with each sip. That's how you know it's working, Lieutenant Maria Santos replied cheerfully, adding another sugar packet to her own cup. The human liaison officer had been assigned to the Confederation Central Command as part of the cultural integration phase of the occupation. So far, she'd spent most of her time introducing various members of High Command to Earth's most notorious psychoactive beverage. Fascinating, High Admiral Zextal observed, his wings fluttering at a frequency that suggested he'd already consumed several cups himself. And you say this is considered a mild stimulant by human standards? Oh, absolutely. Wait until you learn about energy drinks. Santos paused, considering. Though maybe we should save that revelation for after the formal surrender ceremony. Speaking of which, the display screen behind them flickered to life, showing the latest status report from the ongoing occupation. The human fleet had systematically secured every major Confederation military installation within 48 hours. Not through force, they hadn't fired a single shot since the surrender, but through what they called aggressive competence. I still don't understand, Krivak admitted, his earlier bravado thoroughly dissolved in a caffeine-induced haze of clarity. How did you adapt our technology so quickly? Santos smiled. Would you believe me if I told you it was mostly spite? Spite? Zexatal's wings shifted to a puzzled frequency. Human engineering operates on 3 fundamental principles, Santos explained, pulling up a presentation that had clearly been prepared for just such a conversation. First, necessity is the mother of invention. Second, hold my beer and watch this. She paused for dramatic effect. And third, oh, you think we can't do that? Watch us. The display showed footage from the first counterattack, where human ships had perfectly replicated and countered Confederation shield technology. You see, those research colonies weren't just studying space phenomena, they were studying everything. We humans have this habit of turning our scientists loose on problems and letting them go wild. Give us a puzzle, especially one wrapped in a challenge, and we'll solve it out of sheer stubbornness. But the technological gap, Krivak began, was artificial, Santos finished. We could have developed more advanced technology, but we were focused on other things, like making the perfect pizza delivery drone or figuring out how to get streaming services to work in FTL. But then someone went and blew up our research colonies, and suddenly we had motivation. The display shifted to show the aftermath of the colony attacks. Among the debris, Confederation technology lay scattered, waiting to be analyzed. You basically handed us an advanced technology starter kit, gift wrapped in explosions. Our engineers took one look at the debris and said, and I quote, "Oh, so that's how they do it. Hold my coffee." Zextal's wings fluttered in what might have been admiration. Your species' ability to adapt is remarkable. Thanks. We're particularly proud of how quickly we reversed engineered your quantum communication arrays. Though I have to say, your encryption could use some work. We had teenagers cracking it for fun within hours. Krivak choked on his coffee. Teenagers? Zexatal's eyes shifted through several spectrums of disbelief. Oh yes, we turned it into a competition. Winner got a full scholarship and a fancy coffee maker. Santos grinned. The kid who won? She's actually leading the team that's upgrading your security systems now. Said something about it being therapeutic. The display updated again, showing the ongoing integration efforts. Human engineers were working alongside Confederation technicians, introducing improvements that seemed to violate several laws of physics. But what I really want to know, Santos continued, refilling everyone's cups, is how you missed the signs. I mean, did nobody read our entertainment broadcasts? Our entire science fiction genre is basically a documentary of things we want to build someday. We may have classified those as primitive fantasy narratives, Krivak admitted. Ah, there's your problem. Pro tip. Any species whose response to "that's impossible" is challenge accepted should probably be taken seriously. She pulled up another file. For instance, remember those Planet Killer class ships that had you so worried? The display showed the massive vessels in detail. Would you like to know how we designed those? Both aliens leaned forward, antennae and wings twitching with curiosity. We had a bunch of engineers watch every sci-fi movie featuring planet-destroying superweapons, then asked them to design something better while complying with international law. They treated it like a game. Santos smiled. The winning design came from someone who wanted to prove you could technically destroy a planet without violating the Geneva Conventions, if you were really creative about the paperwork. That's terrifying, Krivak whispered. Oh, don't worry. We'd never actually use them for that. They're mostly for show, like having a really big dog that looks scary but just wants belly rubs. She paused, though the belly rubs in this case would be trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. Speaking of cultural exchange, Zextal interjected, perhaps we should discuss the terms of our ongoing relationship with humanity. Absolutely. First item on the agenda. Introducing your species to ice cream. We find it pairs wonderfully with existential revelations about one's place in the galaxy. The display shifted one final time, showing the scheduled activities for the next week. It was color-coded and featured an alarming number of entries labeled snack time. Admiral Chen sends her regards, by the way, Santos added. She wanted me to remind you that the surrender ceremony will feature something called chocolate cake. She says it's non-negotiable. The horror, someone whispered in the back. But that's not even the worst part, Vkr'lak added, his antennae twitching at the memory. They introduced something called mandatory team-building exercises. A collective shudder ran through the assembly. Speaking of team-building, Rodriguez continued brightly, pulling up a holographic display. We've prepared a comprehensive presentation on human-alien cooperation initiatives. We're calling it Making Friends Through Superior Firepower, a guide to peaceful coexistence. The display showed images of human engineers working alongside various Confederation species, introducing concepts like ergonomic workspace design and casual Fridays. Is that a quantum reactor being used to make something called a cappuccino? Ambassador Kezit asked, their crystalline structure vibrating in confusion. Dual-purpose engineering, Rodriguez explained. We found that Confederation power systems could be optimized by about 300% if you just added the right motivation. In this case, the motivation was decent coffee. But what about the planet-killer ships? Another representative asked. Surely those weren't designed for beverage preparation? Oh, those? Rodriguez waved dismissively. Would you believe they're actually primarily research vessels? The planet-killer designation was more of a marketing decision, though they can technically disassemble a planet if needed, but only after filling out the proper paperwork in triplicate and getting approval from the Ethical Applications of Excessive Force Committee. You have a committee for that? Zextile's wings fluttered in surprise. We have committees for everything. It's part of our tactical doctrine. Overwhelm potential adversaries with bureaucracy before they even think about becoming actual adversaries. The display shifted to show the current status of human expansion. Research outposts being rebuilt, new joint human confederation facilities under construction, and something ominously labeled Galactic Cultural Exchange Program, Phase 1. Now, Rodriguez continued, producing more coffee cups from what seemed to be an interdimensional pocket. Who would like to discuss our proposal for standardizing FTL communication protocols? We've noticed some inefficiencies in the current system that we think could be improved with the application of what we call weekend hackathons. What's a weekend? Someone asked. Rodriguez's smile widened. Oh, you're going to love this. It's part of something we call work-life balance, along with holidays, paid time off, and mandatory vacation days. The council chamber descended into chaos again as various species tried to process the concept of scheduled non-productivity periods. They're inadvertently reforming our entire society, Vkr'lak whispered to Zextile. And the worst part is, it's actually working better than our old system. Indeed, Zextile agreed, his wings moving in what humans had started calling the coffee appreciation pattern. Though I must admit, these casual Fridays are growing on me, much more comfortable than formal ceremonial armor. As the Galactic Council grappled with the implications of human organizational practices, another message began circulating through diplomatic channels. Resistance is futile. You will be befriended. The dragons, it seemed, had not only woken up but had decided to renovate the entire galaxy. One coffee break at a time. And somewhere in the depths of space, a planet-killer-class vessel was being rebranded as a mobile research and recreational facility, complete with a coffee shop in the observation deck. The galaxy would never be the same, but at least it would be well caffeinated. Welcome to the first annual Galactic Innovation Festival. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood on a stage that somehow managed to accommodate beings of 17 different physical phases simultaneously. Or as we like to call it, Hold My Coffee, the convention. The massive convention center, originally a Confederation military logistics facility, had been converted into what humans called a multi-purpose entertainment venue. The fact that it could still function as a fortress in case of emergency was, according to the renovation team, purely coincidental. Is that a quantum harmonics chamber being used as a dance floor? High Admiral Zextile asked, his wings moving in what had recently been classified as the deeply concerned yet somehow impressed pattern. Oh yes, Lieutenant Santos replied, now promoted to Chief of Human-Alien Cultural Integration. Turns out the resonance frequencies are perfect for something we call techno. Who knew your weapons testing facilities had such great acoustics? Across the convention floor, various species were presenting their innovations, all developed under human influence over the past 6 months. The Silicon Consciousness Network had a particularly popular booth showcasing their new emotional processing optimization protocols. Developed after a human IT intern introduced them to cat videos. The humans have corrupted our perfect digital existence. A SCN representative's hologram flickered happily. We now understand the concept of cute, and cannot return to our former state of pure logic. It is wonderful. Nearby, a group of Zornian crystalline beings were demonstrating their newly developed comfort crystallization technology, essentially beanbag chairs that could adapt to any body structure. They'd created it after experiencing human furniture during diplomatic meetings. We never knew we needed spinal support until we tried these gaming chairs they provided. Ambassador Kezit hummed contentedly from what appeared to be a crystalline recliner. Now we cannot imagine existence without ergonomic optimization. Captain Krivak, now serving as the head of the newly formed Department of Human Containment, which had been immediately renamed by humans to Department of Fun Enhancement, was attempting to explain to a group of visiting dignitaries why there was a ball pit in the former high-security briefing room. It's for team building, he explained, his antennae twitching with residual PTSD from his first encounter with the concept. The humans insist it improves workplace morale. But how does submersing oneself in spherical objects enhance productivity? A confused visitor asked. That's the neat part, Krivak sighed. It doesn't, it's just fun. Fun? The visitor's translator glitched, trying to process the concept. You'll understand after your first corporate retreat. Krivak patted them sympathetically with a mandible. Just remember, trust falls are mandatory, but screaming is optional. Meanwhile, at the main stage, Rodriguez was introducing the festival's keynote speaker. The teenage hacker who had cracked the Confederation's encryption. She had since been appointed as the head of the new Galactic Cybersecurity Enhancement Division, GCED. Hi everyone. The teenager, Sarah Chen, no relation to the Admiral, waved enthusiastically. Today we're going to talk about why using your species word for password as your actual password is a bad idea. But first, who wants to learn about memes? Several universal translators simultaneously crashed. In another corner of the convention center, a group of human engineers was demonstrating their latest project, a hybrid coffee maker quantum computer that could simultaneously brew the perfect espresso and calculate the optimal path through 11-dimensional space. The caffeine molecules align perfectly with quantum probability fields, one engineer explained to a fascinated audience. Also, it makes really good lattes. But why? A Confederation scientist asked. Why not? The engineer replied with the sort of grin that had preceded most major human technological breakthroughs. Besides, do you know how hard it is to get good coffee in hyperspace? The demonstration was briefly interrupted by excited shouting from the Galactic Gaming Tournament area, where a team of Silicon Consciousness Network entities had just discovered Minecraft. We can build anything, their collective consciousness announced in joy. The blocks speak to us! Should we tell them about Redstone? One human whispered to another. Let them discover it naturally, like we did with the Zornians in TikTok. Speaking of the Zornians, their latest project was drawing significant attention. A crystalline structure that functioned as both a high-energy research facility and what humans called a water park. The principles of fluid dynamics are fascinating, Ambassador Kezit explained, while sliding down what appeared to be a quantum tunnel converted into a water slide. We never considered combining scientific research with recreational activities before meeting humans. Efficiency through fun. Rodriguez nodded sagely. It's the human way. The festival's success was perhaps best exemplified by the sight of High Admiral Zextal, still in his casual Friday attire, a Hawaiian shirt modified for wing comfort, teaching a group of various species how to do the wave during a presentation on synchronized fleet movements. The key, he explained, wings fluttering with caffeine-enhanced enthusiasm, is to time it with the beat drop. Trust me, it makes battlefield coordination at least 47% more effective. As the first day of the festival wound down, Rodriguez took the stage one final time. Before we conclude today's events, I'd like to announce our next major initiative, Galactic Social Media. Because if we're going to unite the galaxy, we might as well do it through mildly addictive content-sharing platforms. The crowd's reaction was mixed between horror and intrigue, with a distinct undercurrent of, well, it can't be worse than the coffee. They would soon learn how wrong they were. But that's a story for another day. A story involving viral dance challenges, interspecies influencers, and the first galactic-scale Rickroll. But for now, the festival continued. The coffee flowed. And somewhere in the distance, a planet-killer-class vessel was being converted into what humans called a cruise ship. All the amenities of a city-destroying superweapon, the brochure would read, but with a much better buffet. The dragons weren't just awake anymore. They were throwing a party, and the whole galaxy was invited. What do you mean the Silicon Consciousness Network has become a content creator? High Admiral Zextal's wings fluttered in what humans now recognized as the existential dread pattern. Lieutenant Maria Santos, whose title had been updated to Chief Meme Officer, much to her amusement and everyone else's confusion, pulled up the latest metrics on the newly launched Galactic Gram platform. Their unboxing videos are actually quite popular, she explained. Especially the series where they review different types of processors by literally uploading their consciousness into them. They've got 12 million followers already. 12 million. And what exactly is a like? The Admiral's translator struggled with the concept. It's a form of digital validation, Santos explained. Think of it as a quantum state of approval. And these memes? They're some form of information warfare? Close enough, Santos grinned, though we prefer to call it cultural exchange through shared humor. On the main display, various trending topics scrolled past. Hashtag coffee. In space. Hashtag Confederation, casual Friday. Hashtag when the humans are quiet, usually accompanied by images of suspicious-looking engineering projects. Hashtag hold my quantum beverage. Hashtag dragons don't nap anymore. Meanwhile, in another part of the converted command center, now officially designated as Galaxy's biggest break room, Captain Krivak was dealing with his own social media crisis. What do you mean, I'm a meme? He chittered nervously, staring at his image that had somehow become the Galaxy's favorite way to express existential surprise. Sarah Chen, the teenage cybersecurity chief who had now also become the Galaxy's first meme historian, pulled up a compilation. See, it's that expression you made when you first saw the human fleet. Someone captured it, added the text, when you realize you poked the dragons, and, well, she gestured at the millions of variations now spreading across galactic social networks. But I'm a serious military officer. Not anymore, Chen grinned. Now you're surprised Confederation guy. There are plushies being made. Across the galaxy, the effects of human social media influence were becoming increasingly apparent. The Zornian Collective had started a surprisingly successful ASMR channel, featuring the natural resonance of their crystalline forms. They called it vibrational relaxation for all physical states of matter. We have discovered, Ambassador Kezd announced in their latest viral video, that our natural frequencies can produce what humans call good vibes. We are now influencers. Our existence is monetized. It is lit, fam. The Silicon Consciousness Network, not to be outdone, had started a gaming channel. Their playthrough of Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes had become legendary, especially since they could literally interface with the game's code while playing it. We have achieved what humans call a speedrun, their collective consciousness announced proudly, though we are still trying to understand why the comments keep saying POG. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, watching all of this unfold from her office, formerly a high-security war room, now decorated with motivational posters featuring pictures of Earth cats with quotes about leadership, couldn't help but smile. How's the new Galactic Talk platform performing? She asked Santos during their daily meme briefing. Well, the trending dance challenge is currently the Quantum Shuffle, Santos reported, and someone taught the Planet Killer ships to do a choreographed light show to something called Caramel Dancin'. The ships are dancing? Admiral Chen thought it would be good for morale. Also, it turns out their main weapon arrays make excellent disco lights. The display showed footage of the massive vessels performing what appeared to be a synchronized dance routine in space. The video had already garnered several billion views across the galaxy. But the real hit, Santos continued, is the new reality show. Reality show? Keeping Up with the Confederation. It's a documentary-style program following various high-ranking officials as they adapt to human workplace culture. The episode where you introduced Casual Friday to the High Council got 3 trillion views. Zextal's wings drooped. Is that why I keep getting sponsorship offers from something called Space Hawaiian Shirts Inc? Oh no, that's because you're an influencer now. Your wing flutter patterns have become a trending dance move. They're calling it the Admiral Vibe. Before Zextal could process this new horror, an alert flashed across the display. The Silicon Consciousness Network had just discovered something called Discord. Oh dear, Santos muttered. We should probably warn them about moderating their servers before... Another alert. The network had already created 10,000 channels, each dedicated to a different aspect of cat memes. Too late, Rodriguez sighed. At least they haven't found Reddit yet. The room went silent. They haven't found Reddit yet, right? Santos checked her terminal and winced. Well, the good news is they've only discovered RRAll so far. The bad news is they've started uploading consciousness backups to the cloud because, and I quote, must preserve all cute content in case of system failure. Meanwhile, in what used to be the Confederation's most secure quantum computing facility, now the Galactic Gaming Center, a group of various species was engaged in the first ever cross-species Minecraft server. The Zornians are actually incredible architects, Chen commented, watching a crystalline being construct a perfect replica of the Taj Mahal, using only redstone and dirt blocks. Though we should probably tell them that building functional quantum computers in Minecraft is kind of missing the point. Speaking of missing the point, Santos interjected, remember how we introduced the concept of viral marketing to the Confederation's PR department? Oh no. Oh yes, they've taken it literally. They're designing marketing campaigns that actually spread through quantum entanglement. Rodriguez put her head in her hands. Please tell me they at least made it entertaining. Well, the good news is, it's technically the most efficient advertising campaign in galactic history. The bad news is every quantum-capable device in the galaxy is now periodically displaying something called Big Squadron Energy. The dragons hadn't just woken up and started a party. They'd introduced the entire galaxy to social media. The resulting chaos was either the greatest achievement in cultural integration or the most elaborate prank in human history. Possibly both. As Vkr'lak would later comment in his viral TED Talk, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Meme. In retrospect, the planet killers were less dangerous than their social media platforms. At least with the warships, you could see the destruction coming. The galaxy would never be the same, but at least everyone was having fun with it, even if some of that fun involved teaching AI networks about rickrolling. To be continued.